want to talk about you versus you and how to overcome cravings on a plant based diet. And you're like, why would they persist? Well, we'll go into that too. Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Marbus. I'm a board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician who has been seeing patients across the country because I'm licensed in all 50 states for well over 2 decades now. And I've been eating a plant based diet for nearly 13 years, raised a family on it. So I'm definitely well versed to help you understand what those cravings are because I talk to thousands of patients a year all about this. So if you're excited to be here, thank you for being here and part of this community. I'm so thankful for having you here. So let's finish this amazing video with you versus you, how to overcome those cravings on a plant based diet. So, first of all, adopting a plant based diet is often described as a journey, right? But for many, it feels like a battlefield. On one side, you have your best intentions, you're focused on health, sustainability, or ethical eating. And then on the other, cravings creep in, well trained saboteurs, right? Whispering promises of cheese and burgers or other familiar comforts. But these cravings aren't random or a sign of failure. They are deeply tied to our biology, our psychology, and even history. So, understanding their roots can really help you gain control and overcome them. So, let's take a historical perspective on cravings and diet. Cravings have been a part of the human experience for millennia. So, early humans lived in environments where food was not guaranteed. So, our ancestors evolved to crave calorie dense foods like fats and sugars. Now, these cravings were survival mechanisms, urging them to eat high energy foods whenever possible. Then you fast forward to agricultural societies. You find that cultural traditions started shaping cravings. For example, ancient Egyptians revered bread and beer as staples of life, while the Roman elite developed a taste for fermented fish sauces and rich meats. Now, these cravings were not only biologic, but also symbolic of status, identity, and belonging. And then by the Industrial Revolution, mass food production introduced refined sugars, processed grains, and fats to diets on an unprecedented scale. Cravings were no longer about survival, they became about indulgence and convenience. Then you have the rise of marketing in the 20th century that supercharged this, creating emotional attachments to foods like chocolate, soda, ice cream, and other fast foods. Now, when you decide to transition to a plant based diet, you're not just fighting personal habits, you're confronting the history of craving shaped by biology, culture, and industry. So, let's talk about why cravings persist on a plant based diet. Now, remember, cravings aren't just about hunger, it's a complex interaction between your brain, your body, and your environment. Number one, you have biological conditioning. So your brain craves the dopamine rush it gets from those calorie dense foods. So foods high in fats, sugars, and salts, often found in animal products or processed or ultra processed snacks, trigger this response more than whole plant foods. Number two, you have a taste memory, right? So flavors you grew up with are deeply ingrained in your memory. The smell of sizzling bacon or the taste of buttery mashed potatoes might transport you back to comforting family dinners, making it harder to say no. I totally get it. My mom's mom, made the best mashed potatoes. Oh my heavens. They were fluffy and creamy. So that smell and that texture, that taste, it really can draw you. And it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy mashed potatoes now. I just created a plant based version, a healthier plant based version, and I can still enjoy that. But I wanted to share that even myself, I will have those moments. Number three is cultural expectations. So, food is tied to identity and societal rituals. So, from holiday turkey to birthday cake, certain foods carry emotional weight, making alternatives feel inadequate at first. And I'll tell you, our first Thanksgiving that we had in 2012, when we had gone plant based, my husband, as we had coming around Thanksgiving, my husband said, well, we need to buy a turkey because we had invited family and friends over. And I was really emotionally, really torn because I understood the value of eating a whole food plant based diet, and I was eager to share a newfound way of health to people that I loved and cared for. And I finally said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to serve anything that I wouldn't serve myself just on the pretense that that's just the way it always has been. So we created alternatives for that very first Thanksgiving, and we've never looked back. Because for me, when I serve someone a meal of any kind, but especially a whole food plant based diet meal, and I've worked really hard to make it taste delicious and understand this is a time of sharing and caring and sharing a meal of Thanksgiving together. I consider this a gift of love. So why would I give someone that I know that's not going to be helpful for them something that's going to actually potentially cause more harm to their health? So instead, I'm inviting them with playing around with their palate a little bit and giving them this yummy, tasty meal in this wonderful environment. So I'm hoping that I create new memories around my plant-based meals, right? So it doesn't have to be one of fighting or difficulty, just inviting space. And so that's how we chose to embrace it Thanksgiving almost 13 years ago. And here we are now, and we're bringing plant-based meals to where we're going in a few days. So next, let's talk about the science-backed strategies to overcoming cravings. So number one, we need to retrain our brain and taste buds. So your brain's dopamine system is highly adaptable. Do not forget that. Studies show that repeatedly choosing healthier options can rewire your reward pathways, so making you crave those foods instead. Similarly, your taste buds regenerate every 10 to 14 days, meaning it doesn't take long for your palate to adjust to the natural flavors of plant based foods. So, how do you do it? You gradually reduce ultra processed and animal based foods to let your taste buds adapt, and then incorporate more flavorful plant-based options like spices and herbs and kind of that umami rich foods like miso and nutritional yeast or tamari. And for example, a perfect example of this would be someone who's really struggling with, let's say they really want salt on their food and they know they shouldn't have it. Maybe they have hypertension or something like that. Typically within 2 weeks, you will find that people who abstain from salt and then they do eat something that maybe they have the same amount of salt that they would have had before actually dislike it because, like, wow, that is too salty. So it's really fascinating. It doesn't take much, but it just does takes a little bit of consistency and a little bit of patience, and you'll find this actually works very well. The same goes with kids. When you're trying to introduce more healthy options, you're pulling them away from that ultra processed foods that you allowed them to have, giving them these opportunities to try new foods and really understand what true sweetness tastes from a piece of fruit versus a piece of candy will take time. There might be a few tears, but I guarantee you it will happen. Number two, replace and don't resist. So cravings often feel insurmountable, right? Because they're tied to a specific texture or a flavor, like the creaminess of cheese. Oh man, cheese and I used to be what I'd consider lovers. Oh wow, I remember that. Or the crispiness of fried chicken. So instead of denying yourself entirely, find satisfying plant based swaps. So let's say you're craving cheese, try a creamy cashew based sauce or store bought vegan cheeses as a transitional food so you can really embrace the more whole food versions. Do you want a burger? Offer a hearty black bean or lentil patty loaded with toppings. So by replacing instead of resisting, you address the craving without derailing your diet. You're going at this as a place of abundance versus a place of deprivation. So that's a really important piece here, because when you start feeling like you're depriving, you almost turn into like a small child throwing a fit because she didn't get the lollipop, right? So that's the kind of way that we need to address this. How can I make this an abundant opportunity versus not one of deprivation? Number three is really balance your meals. So cravings are often a sign sometimes of nutritional imbalances. Maybe it's a lack of protein, fiber, or healthy fats can really feel you unsatisfied and increasing the likelihood of cravings. Science says protein helps regulate hunger hormones like ghrelin. Foods like lentils, chickpea, tofu, and tempeh are excellent plant-based protein sources. Fiber slows digestion and it keeps you full longer. So whole grains, vegetables, and legumes are packed with it. Healthy fats found in avocados, nuts, and seeds provide satiety and flavor. And I will tell you over and over again, when I have patients who, you heard some gurus say, oh, you need a pound of vegetables every morning just for your breakfast. They might eat a big old salad of kale and a few other veggies. One, it's not calorically sufficient to get them started on their day. And two, it's very protein scarce, right? So not saying that you cannot get your protein on plant, say you absolutely can, 100%. But if you are just focusing on one particular food all the time and you're not balancing maybe protein throughout your day, like those beans and whole grains, you may find that you have more cravings. So upping your protein, especially earlier in that morning meal, you may find that it gets easier when you're more tired later in the day, and if that's maybe when you're having some of those cravings, which a lot of people have in that later afternoon or early evening, sometimes later evening, if they went all day and maybe they skipped breakfast or they skipped lunch because they were working. Or try that and see if you don't find an improvement in your craving that way. Number 4 is, let's talk about breaking emotional eating patterns. Now, this is a tricky one, but we're going to just give you a short, brief, potential helpful hint here. Cravings can be really tied to emotions rather than hunger. So, stress, boredom, or sadness can make us seek food and comfort, especially familiar indulgences. So, how do we manage this? First of all, recognize your triggers, right? Keep a journal to track your cravings when they strike and what emotions or situations are involved. And then think about some non food comforts. Maybe it's a brisk walk, a warm bath, or a quick meditation session can really soothe stress without craving or reaching for snacks. Maybe it's journaling or really just taking the moment to ask yourself, am I actually hungry? Am I anxious? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? That's called the HALT method. And sometimes just providing space and time between the onset of a craving and bringing your mind on, becoming mindful of the situation is enough to decrease the reward of that particular eating habit or that emotional eating habit. So, mindfulness is a very powerful tool here. And there's just some ideas. Again, I think I've done some other videos on that a while back. I've done over 1,000 videos on this YouTube channel. So, there's a plethora of information. So, that might be one to check out. Number 5 is plan ahead to prevent slip ups. I cannot tell you how important this is, because if you are not planning to succeed, you will absolutely plan to fail. And so this is really important. So cravings are really strongest when you're hungry and unprepared. And if you don't have plant-based options ready, you're more likely to reach for the convenience foods. So here's some tips. Meal prep on weekends so you always have satisfying ready to eat options. Keep plant-based snacks on hand like roasted chickpeas, trail mix, or fruit. For example, we went to an Ethiopian restaurant and had a really yummy plate of injera with all the veggies. They had the cabbage, they had the spicy red lentils, they had the yellow split peas, they had the collard greens, and then they had, what was the other? It was also delicious. And these special spices. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering just from it. So we brought home the leftovers, and it was interesting, cool, is it was an Ethiopian market as well down here in San Diego where we are currently, and I bought the bag. And so I asked when I was checking out, because it's a small little, it was a 4 table little restaurant in the little marketplace. And I said, can you tell me how to prepare the split peas here that they had? And so they told me basically you take, let's say, a cup of split peas, and that's going to be your peas. So you're going to take a full onion, they said, and you're going to saute it. They said oil, but I would use water or veggie broth. You add in a little bit of garlic, a little bit of ginger, and a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric, and you just let those onions become translucent. You pour in the peas, and then you pour in the water just to cover it, and then you bring it to a boil, and then you bring it down to a simmer and let it cook until it gets really thick. You may need to add a little bit more water if the peas aren't cooked. That took about an hour, but I made enough to really utilize probably four, I would say 4 meals. So over the course of 2 to 3 days, we will have yummy yellow split pea deliciousness. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. But I ran out of injera, so now we'll probably use either a whole wheat tortilla, or maybe we'll use some type of grain. You can make it a bowl. So many things you can do now, and I'm seriously just salivating thinking about it. So lots of ways you can do that. The roasted chickpeas, you could utilize the chickpeas in a can. I pour out the aquafaba, which is the liquid of the chickpea, and then you can roll it around in your favorite barbecue sauce, put it in the oven around 350, about maybe 15 minutes, flip them around, and then roast them again. And then before you have a yummy snack, and that will last a couple of days as well. So Ours isn't because food goes bad, it's because honestly we eat it too fast. So it's delicious. So remember, throughout history, humans have craved foods to survive, to connect with others, and to really celebrate life's milestones. But when cravings arrive, it's not a sign of weakness. It's really a signal from your brain or your body. And just by understanding the science behind cravings and acknowledging the roots in our shared human experience, you can really approach these more with compassion than frustration. So, cravings on a plant based diet, again, these aren't an obstacle, they're an opportunity. They push you to rethink your old habits, discover new flavors, and then align your actions with your values, which is so, so important. The battle of you versus you may not be easy, but it's absolutely one worth winning or fighting, and you will absolutely win. So remember, at the end of the day, you get to decide what you put in your mouth, and only you, and you will have to either enjoy the consequences of those actions or suffer the consequences of those actions. Again, it's all up to you. So thank you for being here, sending gratitude, joy, love, and healing your way as always.